What's up, guys? How y'all doing? All right, so the other day I was doing some recording with my band, and I, for whatever reason, just decided to plug straight into my amplifier. And I never do that. I always run pedals anytime I'm doing any sort of recording, but for whatever reason, I just had this instinct to just plug straight into my amp and just record and just go. And I think I got the idea from Nuno Betancourt, because he recorded Rise, like that new song that he and his band released not too long ago. And I heard in an interview that he just plugged straight into his amp and recorded, and that's why his tone sounds so tight and so full and so present, like in your ears and stuff like that, and in the speakers. So I guess that's where that came from. And when I did that, it was the greatest recording tone I have gotten, like, ever in my entire life. So I started playing around with it, after the recording session was over, and I realized that tone was amazing. Like, it is great. Like, I even just without like using the speakers or anything, just going straight from my amp, that it's just a beautiful tone. It's so present, it's so, ballsy and punchy, but it's so clear. There's like nothing in the way, obviously, because there's no pedals, but it was just amazing. And so I got to thinking, do you actually need pedals? Like, I mean, I know there's some sounds that you have to achieve, especially in like live settings, but like, honestly, do you really need pedals? And so I've been, meditating on this for the past couple weeks, and I decided to make a video about it to kind of prove or disprove that theory of mine. So yeah, so that's what we're doing. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I have my pedal board here, and I'll show you guys what all that entails here in a second, but I have my pedal board here, and what we're gonna do, I'm gonna condense it down until there's just nothing but the amp and the guitar. So, we're just gonna see what happens, see if there is a huge sound difference. So for guitars, I'm using my G&L Tele, and which you've seen in videos before, and then we can talk about pedal boards and things like that too. And also, I'm going from that to my pedal board into my trusty Blackstar St. James. And yeah, and let me go ahead and show you guys my pedal boards and see how we're gonna run this thing. All right, guys, so here's my pedal board. So like I said earlier, this is the pedal board I use for church most of the time. So I'll just give you guys a quick rundown of it. So we got the Exotic Effects volume pedal, thing's great. We have the JHS Kilt, which is cool because, and this one's cool, it has like your regular overdrive, but you hit this switch here, it turns into a fuzz, changes colors too, so it's pretty sick. JHS Super Bolt, which is like a clean overdrive, adds a little nice ring to it. It adds a lot of brightness too, so especially good for like humbucker stuff, but it also sounds great for my Tele. And then we have the EVH Phase 90, and we all know what that sounds like. We got the Strymon Big Sky. I have a couple of different effects here for my different reverbs, so pretty cool. We got my Strymon Timeline. And we have my HX Stomp. So I use this usually to run my amps, but since I already have an amp, I can just use it for effects that I don't have like on analog on my board. So yeah, we have a chorus. We have a phaser again, and the reason that's there is because later we're gonna condense it down to just this HX Stomp and get some sounds out of that, see how different that is from everything here. And we have a tremolo too. So yeah, that's basically the pedal board. All right, so I'm just gonna go through some different sounds on my pedal board, and we can see how the tone changes when I condense it down. Okay, so that was that. You can tell my tone was, I mean, the benefit of using a bunch of pedals is that you can get a lot of different sounds. And that's great. But I'm making a point here, I promise. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna condense the pedal board down and see how it changes the tone. And you have to listen kind of carefully with this sort of stuff. You may not hear a difference right off the bat, but it'll be there. It might actually be a completely different tone, but it's just a preference thing, I really feel like. All right, so we condensed the board down a little bit more. So right now it's just the HX Stomp, and this little thing right here, this is a foot switcher, so I can use it to get my tuner, and I can also use it, there's gonna be like there's a reverb there that I use too, so it gives me an extra 2 switches I can use instead of just the 3. And I forgot to mention this earlier, but this is just a foot switch that came with the St. James. So it's got your channel there. So that's going to be like your overdrive. And this is a voice. So it changes it to sound more metal, which is pretty dope. So yeah, let's see how this sounds. All right, so for this pedal board configuration, I had to turn the gain up on my amp like a lot. I think right now the gain is at like 3 o'clock. So it's pretty high. And then I'm just controlling how much gain is being affected in my tone with my volume knob, which has a treble bleed in it, which I made a video about that like a little while ago, so check that out. But yeah, let's see how this sounds. So already the tone is so much more clear to my ears. You may not hear it, but for me, it's a night and day difference. Okay, so now we're gonna take the pedals completely out of the equation and go straight into the amp. The only pedal here is the foot switcher, but that's not affecting like the signal chain any. So yeah, it's going straight into the amp. Let's hear how it sounds. So yeah, the tone is so good. Like there's nothing in the way of your tone. Like it's just, the only thing is it's your fingers, this guitar to the amp, that's all you get. And so what I found is that you really hear like the nuances of everything. Like everything is so crystal clear and I love it. Like so now I'm just gonna turn the gain all the way up and just freaking go crazy. All right, so just to give you guys a close comparison, I'm gonna play just a simple riff through all three of the rigs. So just guitar and amp with my small pedal board, and then with my large pedal board, just so you can kind of hear the sonic differences in them. I don't know, I feel like now that I've heard all three of them back to back, I feel like the more pedals you add, it kind of muffles your tone a little bit. So it's not as bright and it's not as shrill. But not that my tone was really shrill to be, like, just with the amp. I just feel like anytime you add pedals, at least that I'm seeing with what I just did, it kind of takes away from a lot of the highs. I feel like it kind of mellows those highs out and makes it cleaner a little bit. So it's kind of cool. And I guess you could tweak it to, you can use that to your advantage, is what I'm trying to say. Is that, you can set your amp to be a little bit brighter and then have your pedals mellow that out just a little bit to get the tone that you're after. But yeah, so I still think that if you have an amp that's your purest tone that you're gonna get, but if you gotta use pedals, then I would say use as few of them as possible. That's just my opinion, but that's kind of where I'm coming from with that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I think about my tone. What do you guys think about you guys' tone? Do you like to use a bunch of pedals, or do you like to just keep it as simple as possible and keep it with just guitar and amp, or do you like somewhere in between where you like to add just a couple of pedals just to get those sounds here and there? I'm curious to see what you guys think. So yeah, let me know in the comments, and we'll all have fun together learning about this stuff. So yeah, appreciate you guys hanging out with me. See you guys in the next video. Peace out, y'all.